welcome to the 4-H Alumni Series Clover Connection, where we'll be hosting 4-H alumni to learn about their experiences in 4-H and how 4-H has impacted their life. My name is Tina Veal, and I serve as the 4-H Alumni and Constituent Engagement Manager for the Illinois 4-H program. And joining us today is Ray Ropp. Ray is a 4-H alum from McLean County. So welcome, Ray. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Let's get started. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background with 4-H.
Well, I've been going to 4-H meetings since about probably when I was 3 or 4 months old. Mom and Dad started a 4-H club in 1928 and served as their leaders for the first 40 years. And then I took over after that. But that was the initial part of my 4-H experience of just attending meetings that Dad had. But when we became of age, 10 years old, to join 4-H, Dad and Mom said, "You're not going to be in our club because we don't want anybody to think you are receiving any favorable treatment." So we were a member of the Silverleaf 4-H Club, which Dad and Mom were members of. And Gordy and I, my brother Gordon and I, were then members of the Silverleaf Club as well. And that club started 10 years before Mom and Dad started the Lynn and Leadham 4-H Club. So starting on the early memories of my 4-H career is that I showed a couple pigs and received Award of Merit, which means that you were there at the county fair and the quality of your animal wasn't very good. So next year we took the offspring of one of those pigs and got a 7th place. So I was really proud that I was riding high on the hog. So we sold those pigs and bought a dairy calf or 2. And that's when my 4-H career really started to take off. And some of the memories at the county fair were the experiences of winning and losing. And I remember one year I was, or a couple years, I was in the tractor driving contest. And at that time we had about 45 kids that were in the tractor maintenance and driving contest. And I finished, I think, 42nd. Which means I was really close to the bottom. But the guy who kept winning all the time was Carl Graff. And about 40 years later, at the Farm Bureau Fair, or at the Farm Bureau Field where we had the fair, I challenged him to a contest in tractor driving again. And Don Meyer, who was the extension agent, retired at that time, and this was after he had served many years as the extension agent. He was the official arbiter of that contest, and I beat Carl, and that made my year, my whole life, beating the guy who was always number 1. So it took me a long time to be as good or better than he, and he used the excuse he had a sore neck that he couldn't turn around, which I heard those excuses before. And then, of course, becoming an iffy afterwards was a very integral part of my life when I had the opportunity to spend 6 months in India, learn about a new way of life, and those experiences and the friends that we met remained with us for the rest of our life. And we learned not only about the challenges that the Indian people have, but also a greater appreciation for what we have here in this country. And so that was a terrific experience. Plus the fact when we went to 4-H Club Congress, that was always a reward that we cherished. That was during my freshman year at college, and I missed a couple quizzes to go up there, which cost me a grade level at the end of the semester, which I just barely made it through the process of pledging to become an active. And those almost cost me those grades, but the experience was well worth it. and the friends that we made not only in Illinois but throughout the country was great. And we found out that the girls from Kansas and Georgia were the best looking girls at the conference. Unfortunately, we never made contact with any of those, but my wife would probably say that's probably a good idea that we didn't. But another experience that we really cherished was the ability to have softball, fast pitch softball for boys back then, which was really big. On the county level, there must have been 20 different 4-H clubs that had a team, and we had games against each of the teams during the year, and then a tournament at the end to determine who would go on to the district and then state level. And we were fortunate enough to have a team that spent 2 years in 4th place in the state. And then the 3rd time we were 2nd, and the 4th time we won it.
All right.
So we were state champions, and that was a really a great experience. Go down to University of Illinois and play on the campus. It was really exciting and fun opportunity. So those events helped to determine what I am today.
Yeah.
And then that helped us, Dad, excuse me, after we came back from the military service after spending a year in India. We spent 2 years in the Army. Came back, and Dad retired as 4-H leader of the Linden Leading Club, giving that responsibility to Carol and I. And so we've been leading that club for the next 58 years or so, 57 or 8. So tried to use that responsibility to help young 4-Hers, both boys and girls, to help develop their leadership skills, their sense of responsibility, challenging them to be the best that they can be and provide the best work with their particular projects, hoping to prepare them to be better citizens in our community, in our country, in our world. So that's about as much as you'll ever want to know about me.
Well, you talked about some of your projects. You talked about you had Jersey cattle, you did tractor. Are there other projects that you took?
Well, we had
4-H?
chickens a few years, and I always took potatoes.
Oh.
I mean, we had about an 1/8 acre of potatoes, and to pick a peck of potatoes to show at the fair, and I would spend more time digging that potato patch to find a peck of perfectly matched potatoes. Probably more time than I spent preparing a dozen head of cattle for show. And most of the time I was successful in winning. There was a time or two that the judge didn't know what he was looking for, and I got 2nd.
You didn't agree with the judge,
No,
is what you're saying.
Definitely
Yeah.
didn't. But really worked hard to have a perfect peck of potatoes.
Perfect peck of potatoes. That could be a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
How about, you talked a lot about your family and long history with 4-H. How do you feel 4-H helped prepare you and influence you for your future? You went to the University of Illinois. Is that because 4-H introduced you to Illinois?
Well, my brother, 9 years older, he went to the University of Illinois. And he was in a fraternity, and I chose to live in a different fraternity that he was in. And when I came back from Rush Week and told him which fraternity I joined, he said, "That is without a doubt the dumbest thing you've ever done in your life." Well, since then it's proved out to be a really wise decision. I think 4-H helped me to develop leadership skills that helped me at the University of Illinois, serving as president of the Dairy Club and president of the fraternity, and director of or department head at the Atlanta Union activities, over 4 or 5 different activities. So 4-H helped give me that impetus and that training and self-confidence that really was needed to achieve those responsibilities and try to serve my best in them. I always felt it's not the amount or the number of organizations that you're part of or responsibilities you have. It's what you do in those positions. And I've been on organizations, on committees where people are quiet. You don't know what they're thinking. And then you make a motion and they'll vote against you. And that really irritates me because I want to know why. And I've had some people on organizations that I disagreed with them on many times, but you knew where they stood, and they became very good friends because you could talk about your differences. And I think that was an important also trait that 4-H helped me learn to through public speaking contests, through giving talks and demonstrations at our meetings, and just making decisions in 4-H, what activities we wanted to do and so forth. And so those opportunities to interact with other people helped me throughout my career in college and later on in life as well.
Very good. So you have a lot of great experiences, which you've shared about, but what's your favorite 4-H memory?
Oh, well, my favorite memory, that's close. I think the time that I got hit with the tomato ranks pretty high. But I think winning the state softball tournament twice, actually I said second, we were first twice, and those were really highlights that I cherished. I also appreciated the opportunity to go to 4-H leadership camp and served on the continuation committee to help plan the next year's camp. That was awful fun. And and I think it's hard to measure the experiences that we had as an IFE in India. Those memories. Probably at the time you didn't think that they were that important, but we had a 50-year celebration of the 10 kids that went to India with us, and one had passed away, but there were 8 others, and everyone came to our community because we hosted them. They came from Alaska, from Hawaii, from Kansas, Michigan, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And they all came, and it was just like we'd seen each other a week before, and it was so much fun to share memories and renew acquaintances, and we just had many of the same arguments and fun that we had. Yes, yeah, it was great, so much fun. And then we had it another year later, a couple of years later in Pennsylvania, so it was really a neat experience.
Absolutely. Well, I know firsthand that you always are giving good advice to younger 4-Hers. And so what is advice that you would give to a young 4-H member or someone thinking about joining 4-H today?
Well, we recently looked through many of the experiences of information that we had kept from our 4-H experiences, and I think it's really important that kids know there's a real opportunity to develop your skills at whatever interests you have, and many of those skills and projects that you take to the fair will lead to your profession that you choose later on in life. And that's important that kids know that they have the opportunity to learn those skills and develop those abilities to become successful in life. Plus the opportunity to develop leadership skills, which if you want to have an impact in life, you're going to have more of an impact if you have the ability to lead people. One thing I'm afraid that we don't do as much in our training in leadership skills that we could, we don't do it in Rotary, we don't do it in any other organization either. But the importance of teaching how to inspire. Anybody can lead a meeting and call for the secretary to give the secretary's report, the treasurer's report, and have committee reports. But if you have the ability to inspire people, whatever that organization is, you're going to get their best. And it's important to learn how to put people in the positions that they are really concerned about and have an interest. And if you can inspire those people, well, you're going to have a successful organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Very insightful. Is there anything that you didn't get to share that you wanted to share about how 4-H impacted your life?
Well, I think we covered pretty much everything. It's really hard to say how much influence Mom and Dad had because they were highly successful in 4-H in its early years, being top winners in their particular project field. And the inspiration, I always thought that Dad provided the inspiration for us and Mom made sure we provided the perspiration. She made sure that we got those record books done, and that was important, and make sure we had projects ready for fair. But Dad inspired us to do what we were going to do.
They're a good team. That's good.
Yeah, they were.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
Well, Ray, I of course always love visiting with you, and I thank you for your history and knowledge and how sharing your story about 4-H. That's really important for people to know and understand. And we know that 4-H has definitely impacted your life and your family's life. And so thank you for being a loyal 4-H alum from McLean County. And so this has been the Illinois 4-H Clover Connection, and I thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed the opportunity.